And House Budget Committee member Dan Meuser. And Congressman, it is good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Great to be with you.
So what do you think the answer is, Congressman? I mean, you've got these massive caravans once again headed our way. And, you know, this is this kind of thing that just feeds on itself. When people know that there are porous borders, when they know that it's maybe a shot to get in and stay in, the numbers increase.
Yeah, the rhetoric coming out of the Democrat caucus certainly serves as a magnet to attract those coming to our country illegally. You know, it took them a year and a half to even come to start to admit that we have a crisis at the border. I was happy to see even CNN over the weekend admits that it's a crisis. We had 100,000 just this past month, as you stated. We're a very welcoming country, but we've got to have order at the border.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, though, what you just heard from the other side, that, you know, taking money from, stopping aid from some of these countries is not going to move the needle? I mean, do you think the president's plan in terms of threatening that, look, we're not going to send the aid that we have been in the past, will move those governments to stop the flow of people leaving their countries and coming here?
You know, it's a carrot and a stick decision. We've had the carrot out for many years, and look where we are. So the president is doing everything he has to do to get tough. He asked for a minimal amount to secure the border. He engaged in the National Emergency Act, which is to invoke, which was in his constitutional right. Now he's calling for the possibility of shutting down the border, which Ronald Reagan did in the 80s because of the drug crisis that existed. We have a drug crisis. We have a humanitarian crisis. We have a mess. And the president's determined to correct this. Yeah, President Reagan did it. President Bush did it after 9/11, or on 9/11. We know that. All right, let me switch gears and ask you about debt. This is a huge concern for Americans. The national debt topping a record $22 trillion. Minnesota Federal Reserve President Neil Kashkari was on this program on Friday, warning about the threat of soaring debt. Listen to this.
The U.S. government has more capacity to issue debt. If you want to invest in infrastructure, debt is a reasonable way to finance infrastructure. But does it mean that the U.S. government can just spend and fund all of our dreams? No. That will ultimately lead to inflation.
What do you think, Congressman? Do the Republicans have a plan to rein in the spending at some point?
Well, we have a realistic plan. I am on the Budget Committee, and the president's proposal and the proposal that the Republicans are putting together calls for a 5% cut to non-military discretionary spending, with hundreds of millions of reductions through efficiency, rooting out waste, abuse, and fraud from Medicare and Medicaid. Now, on the same note, Maria, the Democrats who run the Budget Committee and run the House are now, it looks like they're not going to propose any budget whatsoever. So again, it's reality versus fiction. You know, sometimes on the House floor, I feel like I'm in a library where we got the fiction side and we got the nonfiction side. You know, we're about real initiatives that will reduce, for instance, in the budget case, will reduce the budget over time. And again, the Democrats on the Budget Committee are stating that they're not going to even propose a budget.
And they did, however, propose a plan called the Green New Deal, which is supposed to cost $94 trillion.
Right.
So, you know, when they put their money where their mouth is last week, they didn't. They left, or they voted present, or they didn't vote for the Green New Deal. So they're coming up with these proposals that I think at the end of the day they recognize don't make any sense given the cost.
Again, unrealistic, smoke and mirrors. They had a chance to vote for it. As you said, this is their fix to the economy. You know, we have a great economy. We're seeing that. We're seeing China's growth increasing. We're seeing people wanting to come here like never before. And yet, the phoniness on the side of the left, they want to pretend that our economy is weak, and their solution to it is the Green New Deal. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have such an extensive spending problem. Yeah, but so we've got to get real with the American people.
The Republicans have their own problem about health care. The president is vowing to make health care a priority. He said last week, look, the Republicans are going to be about health care. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy joined me earlier today, and here's what he said in the last hour. Medicare for all wipes out an entire industry. We know that. It would be unlawful to get health insurance from the private sector, which, as you say, 150, some people say it's 180 million. But what's the plan on the Republican side?
Well, the Republicans have been very clear, and we have a number of plans sitting out there. Number one goal here, be able to lower your premiums, because what Obamacare has done to our premiums, give you greater choice, and most importantly, build a relationship where the patient has with the doctor.
Yeah.
Right now, government. This goes to a much bigger picture of what the Democrats are doing. It's socialism versus free enterprise.
Your reaction, Congressman?
Couldn't agree more. Affordability, quality, and choice. The people in my district and throughout the country are seeing their premiums continue to go up, their deductibles skyrocket. That's the part of the health care that we must work upon. We need to lower premiums, we need to lower deductibles, and we need to leave it in the private sector. You know, that's where innovation takes place. How many times have you heard government and innovation in the same sentence? It doesn't happen. It only happens in the private sector, and that's got to be the majority piece of our plan.